insulin, a wonder drug, a life-saving drug for diabetes. But for what type of diabetes? Type 1? Yes, it's obvious. Type 1 diabetics would die without insulin. But what about type 2 diabetics? Does insulin help them or does it hurt them? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Quickly, I'm Dr. Amina Goodwin, a physician and health coach, and I help overweight people with blood sugar problems solve those problems without having to take more medications. All right, we're going to get right into it. So the bane of existence for most type 2 diabetics is the thought of having to take insulin injections. And many type 2 diabetics who get on insulin injections find that they struggle terribly with weight. You know, a lot of them would say, I started gaining weight. I was fine. And then as soon as I took insulin, I just started putting on lots of weight. I don't understand it. Then there are those diabetics who would know that, you know, their insulin dose just keeps going up. Every year they're taking more and more and more doses of insulin and they cannot figure it out. Well, let's talk about type 2 diabetes and what it is about type 2 diabetes that makes me say that insulin might actually make it worse. Well, what are the two problems for type 2 diabetes? Number one is that there's too much sugar getting into the blood, too much glucose getting into the blood. That's problem number one, right? Number two is that the insulin that's responsible for storing away the sugar, it's not working properly. Now, for problem number one, too much sugar in the blood, if you're having a lot of sugar in the blood, it means that you need more insulin to take care of that sugar and store it away. The more sugar you're taking in, if you're not fixing that diet part and taking more sugar, the more insulin you need. The more insulin you take, the more the body really starts getting tired and it gets clogged up with all this insulin, like a drain getting clogged. And eventually what happens when you have a clogged drain? Everything blocks and backs up and nothing works anymore. And so essentially solving problem number one, which is too much sugar, causes problem number two, which is insulin resistance. Insulin stops working. That is a problem, insulin resistance. And so if you have a problem contributing to that most diabetics will have probably a combination of these two problems, usually not just one, right? And we're talking type 2 diabetes, right? And so if you have a problem, if one of your fundamental problems with type 2 diabetes is too much insulin causing the body to resist it, treating that problem with more insulin is only going to make the problem worse. So you're asking now, well, what am I supposed to do? My blood sugar is high. Well, what you have to do is find a way to get your blood sugar down. Now, since the problem for most people is too much sugar going in, it means you have to decrease your intake of sugar. Now, yes, too much sugar going in, but an added problem to that is that sugar that's going in is going in too quickly. It's going in more quickly than the body can tackle it, than the body can take care of it. So your body's just scrambling, and eventually, because it's not able to keep up, it falters and your blood sugars just stay high because it cannot keep up. You need to fix the problem of too much sugar going in. You can, yes, cut down your sugar. And of course, the basic thing which you all have probably heard me say over and over again is to try and keep your added sugar intake at no more than 6 teaspoons per day. Every 1 teaspoon is equal to 4 grams. So if you're relying on, packaged foods, then you will be looking at your packages, the nutrition label, and keeping a running tally as the day goes by, and you do not want your total intake of added sugar to be more than 24 grams, right? And that's how we get 6 teaspoons. 6 teaspoons is 24 grams because every 1 teaspoon is equal to 4 grams, okay? So that's the first thing to do. Keep added sugar intake below 24 grams. The closer to zero, the better, right? Now, notice I said added sugar. I did not say naturally occurring sugar in food. And that's why we're having this massive problem with type 2 diabetes in this modern day and age, because of our reliance on convenience foods, packaged foods, snacks, our unwillingness generally to not tolerate an hour or two of hunger. Any hunger pang, we have to rush and get food, and it's just our conditioning in these modern times. But really and truly, the naturally occurring sugar, why it's really not as big a deal is because it's not pure like candy and added sugar. It comes with other things. It comes meshed together with fiber and fat and protein. And so whereas with a drink, you have a bottle of juice, which is almost pure sugar in water, there's not much for the body to do to get at that sugar. It just gets absorbed because there's nothing preventing it from going along to the wall of the intestines and just passing through into the bloodstream. This is compared to sugar in its more natural form, like fruits, for example, or vegetables, where it's there bonded with fiber, and your body has to do work to get that sugar, to extract that sugar and free it to the point where it's able to get through into the bloodstream. While your body's working to extract that sugar, your intestines is pushing the food down, pushing the fruit, pushing the vegetables down. So you're extracting, but it's being pushed down. So at the end of it all, you're really not going to get all the sugar from that food, because some of it is going to be pushed down further, all the way down into your colon, compared to the juice that's going to get easily absorbed and right in the upper part of the intestines, right? So when I talk about decreasing the sugar intake, we're talking especially about added sugar, and we're not worrying too much about that naturally occurring sugar. So that's number one, right? If you decrease the amount of sugar going in, right, and also decrease the speed at which it goes in, because you're having the sugar not plain in juice or candy form, but with other things, right? It means that sugar levels will eventually start coming down, because you're really giving your body a good break. And once sugar levels start coming down, insulin levels can follow, and you won't be needing as much insulin. Once insulin levels start coming down, the drain can get unclogged, and once the drain is unclogged, things can start working again. And so you will find that blood sugar levels will continue to improve as insulin wakes up. The body's not resisting it as much, and eventually some people are actually shocked when, after maybe a 2-3 month period of rigorous dieting, I don't really like to use that word, but really sticking to to the way of eating that a diabetic should, and they really rigorously keep their added sugar intake down, and start feeling better, feeling amazing, and sometimes in many cases start losing weight as well. And then they have a cheat day. I'm using the term that people use, my clients would use, and so on. They have a cheat day and they're going to binge for whatever reason and have pizza and candy and everything basically. And what is shocking to them is that their blood sugars don't go up as high as it would have 3 months prior when they did the same thing. And they're like, what happened here? I just did all this, and they're waiting for the machine to tell them that danger zone, sugar levels are high, and it never goes up, and they are shocked. And the reason for that is because they allowed their body to recover. They allowed the drain to get unclogged with all this insulin, so it was able to start working again and tackle all the sugar that was coming into their bodies. And that is how you get type 2 diabetes better. Not by adding more insulin to continue clogging the drain, so you'll have this overflow of disaster. And in this case, the disaster would just be medical problems, stroke, heart attack, all these unfortunate medical problems that arise when essentially the bottom falls out and the clogged drain just spills all over, right? So how essentially you do that, keep your sugar intake down, recover your body, and what it is, treats, right? Desserts and so on, they're not meant to be had every single day. So nobody expects you never again in your life to have anything sweet, to have dessert, but those things should be reserved for special occasions. Maybe once a week you go out and you have a dessert and your body's able to handle it, right? Because you're not going to go back to where you're bombarding it every day, multiple times a day, right? You maintain the sensitivity, you maintain the clear drain of insulin going forward by keeping your sugar intake within that 6 teaspoon limit, that added sugar intake, and you do that most of the times, do good most of the times, and then you can afford to splurge a little bit on a special occasion, occasionally. It's an occasion, all right? And so I hope you all found this explanation, good about why insulin is going to make the problem of type 2 diabetes worse, not better, and you need to focus on what is causing sugar to go up, which is how you're eating, and so therefore you can keep your insulin levels down. All right, thank you for watching, and I hope you all are starting to get better and feel the hope that the future is bright, especially for those who have diabetes or other metabolic problems, being overweight and so on and so forth. The future is bright. You can reverse some of these conditions to an extent. All right, take care. Thanks again for watching.